Okay. Hi, and welcome to episode 4, season 3. I'm losing count of these things. I don't know what that actually means, episodes back to back. Probably about 15, I would imagine. And we've got the usual bunch of rogues here. So say hi, Derek,
Hello, Derek. Yeah, because everybody thinks that's funny.
Kevin.
Hello, everyone.
That's Evan. I said Kevin.
Oh, you said I thought you said Evan also. I thought it was correct.
Enunciate. Kevin.
Okay, no, we won't go down that room. Evan.
Hello.
So, okay, and then Meister Sean.
Good evening.
You know, I did put Evan down as the big friendly immigrant. I'm just saying. That might have to be revised.
I'm trying to guess if Sean is doing like, if he's being like a serious CBC analyst or is some kind of Canadian Scarborough rapper. Just some.
Well, his hat is on backwards.
It looks like he's got a chain around his neck. The antlers on his
on the shirt.
There. Oh, now
It
he's
might be
changed his
part of the
hat.
shirt.
It's not on backwards anymore.
It's going to kick off into a Simcoe rap. That's what we want.
Same kits in the hood.
Why do you assume everything I talk about is Simcoe? That's ridiculous.
I don't know. Listeners, comment below.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we've got new show for you. We're going to be talking about tournaments that we went to over the last few weeks. The Sober Circuit, bolt action, artillery, and heavy weapons platoons. Last episode, we talked about the rifle platoon, and I'm going to do an overview of the artillery and heavy weapons and upcoming events and a few other nicks and knacks that we'll throw in there as well. So, and this is the show before Christmas. So,
it will be out before Christmas. That's my Christmas gift to you.
Nice, Derek. So have a Merry Christmas, everyone who's listening, and we look
I don't
forward.
feel silly wearing the hat then. Good.
So you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay, then. Tournaments. We went to 3. Some of us ended up going to about 3 tournaments in Ontario over the last few days or a few weeks. So I'm going to hand it off, first of all, to Sean, because we both went to this actually resumption of hostilities. And that was the one that we went to in Oshawa with Over the Top Gaming. So, Sean, your thoughts?
Yeah, there was some. Actually, it was a nice tournament. This was November 10th. It was run by Pat H. It was 17 players, and the scenarios were not pre-published. We showed up, and there was a nice book there in the proper order, with the scenarios in it that we played through. The tables were amazing. And they were all taken from the book, just pre-rolled by Pat before we showed up. But so there was tables for everything there, for everybody there. And there were some there was like jungle and city, and we took pictures of them. They were all great, lots of terrain. This is 3rd edition. So 3rd edition, you want lots of terrain. And then Craig, you took 4th, I took 11th, but Craig was almost a podium.
Mm.
So very good.
Bridesmaid again.
Yeah, we were at the Rundle Park Community Center, so it was a different place. So this was just like a community center, so it wasn't a store or anything. It was just like a building, and not that far from the Tank Museum on Park Road, and only 5 blocks from Simcoe Street, which it's a big street in Oshawa. Now, I know what you're saying, Simcoe Street, Sean, talking about Simcoe again, but it is a major north-south road for Oshawa. It's a regional road, goes all the way up to, so from Lake Ontario, goes all the way north, all the way up to Lake, that's right, Lake Simcoe, goes all the way up to Lake Simcoe. It's like 200 years old. It's
Recently paved, though. Recently paved.
No, not recently paved. Are you insane?
Well, it's not 200-year-old cart track.
Well, it's funny you say cart, but I'll get to that. It was blazed by a fellow named George, he wanted to go fishing in a place called Woodenfield Creek. It's it's no longer there. It's now just a sushi restaurant. They built that sushi restaurant right up there on Simcoe and Fourth to honor the creek that George wanted to go fishing at. So you can still go there if you go up, George. You'll find the sushi restaurant. It's there right now. But Simcoe Street was paved, as a matter of fact. It was one of the first streets to be paved in paving stones. But that was 1911, Derek. 1911 is when the Asphalt Paving Company of Windsor was being awarded the contract. And why did they do that? Well, Governor Simcoe, he built a couple big roads. Yonge Street was one of them. Dundas was the other. 1910, they finally put a bridge over the Don River. So the McLaughlin family founded Oshawa, had carts. You were talking about carts. Very good. Yes, they had their carts. So they were very happy about this. So they were like, "Oh, let's pave this street so we can sell our nice carts," because they had carts. They not only had carts, but they're also coming out with fancy new vehicles back then. This was when cars were coming out.
The horseless carts.
Well, no, they were putting
Horse
Buick engines
carriage.
into little cars back then. Then Windsor is also where, just across the ditch from Detroit, where the GM started up. But the Windsor Company paved the road, and then they had their fancy little cars. They were very happy, and the McLaughlin family also had that patent for the fifth wheel comfort on their carts. That's why you have fifth wheel truck stops now too, because of them. So anyway, thanks for the diversion. Not my fault we talked about Simcoe. It was a good tournament.
And if these guys sent me the pictures like I've asked them while you were listening to the Simcoe story, those were the tables that they took pictures of.
I don't have any pictures of the sushi place, so we'll have to figure that out.
Next time.
Google Maps.
Yeah, it was good. I think what was great is that we also had people from Ottawa that were there and Kingston and stuff. So we started to see Oshawa being east of Toronto. Started to see that kind of community stretch along Lake Ontario start to come together, which is great. We then did, or I did, because I was the insane one, drove for 3 hours and went to Kingston Nexus, which was at the Kingston Nexus Gaming store. This was an event run by Paul Saunders, who also runs the CTC in Ottawa in May. So it was good to get out there. He only runs kind of really these two tournaments, and this was the first version 3 that was doing. He's also a veteran as well. He was out in Afghanistan and stuff, so he's been around the block a bit. But so we had fun. I ended up playing him in a game with his Brumbar, which was deleting units of mine of infantry at a time. But he was the ringer for that game, so unfortunately let me win. But I came in, my placing was 7th then, but it was nice. There was an Australian there. Not that he flew in from Australia. He was living in Canada for about 20 years, but there was an Australian there, and he painted a German DAC army that was beautifully painted and done within about 8 days. So I was just, this is great. That's why I said I hate you.
Is he retired, like not working?
Yeah, pretty much. So I took his card because I was like, I would like you to paint my army for me. So I'm going to get, because I said, are you bored painting?
I don't have to pay, I can pay you by the hour because you'll be done tomorrow.
Yeah. I said, do you, because you've got a beautiful DAC army. I said, are you bored painting DAC? He's like, no, I love DAC. It's my favorite. So I'm like, you'll paint my DAC army? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, right, sweet. So that's going to be my German army taken care of. And I'll probably get it back before I even send it. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Well, considering Canada Post is striking, you're going to have to drive up there.
Well, 3 hours away. I'd be fine with that. So that was the 7th. That was the second time I went undefeated. So which was good start for me for version 3. And then we got the third one, Incoming, which was a bit different to the first two. So
That was doubles down in St. Catherine's, held at Mecca Games. And I teamed up with Sean, and we came 4th. And then Matt and Craig played; they came 6th. And Kev came along. And
sorry, I missed that.
Where
did we come?
4th.
Okay. Where'd Craig and Matt come?
Less than us.
Okay, Terry, I just missed
significantly.
It was terrible for us. We had great games, but our army just sucked big time.
And then Kev was there as the ringer, came along to visit, and won something amazing in the lucky draw in the raffle. A complete US Army box.
This is the first time hearing.
And I played it.
Oh, you know, so Derek, we were laughing about this because I said to Kevin, because your partner can't come, right? Derek can't go because your son's game.
Yeah.
So I said, if you're not doing anything, why don't you just come down with me? I'll pick you up. I'll drive you down. We'll go down there. So it's like, yeah, okay, I got nothing else to do. So we go down there, and there's an odd number because 2 people couldn't make it. A team couldn't arrive. So I said to Kevin, why don't you speak to Bruce, the tournament organizer, and see if you can help out because he's playing as a ringer.
Yeah.
And I said to Bruce, Bruce, look, I'm doing nothing. You want to look after the stuff, and I'll step in for you and be the ringer. And he was like, oh, that'll be wicked. Excellent. Thank you so much. I got all this. I was like, no problem. He's like, here's your army. I'm like, thanks. I don't know what it is. So it was a totally not an army that I would have put together, but at least it was German, so I knew what the stuff was. But no, it was a good time filming it. I didn't try and beat anybody. I just played for fun.
Yeah, and which I think is fun just to go as a ringer. I think just to chill and play. And
I got a raffle ticket.
Yes, so everyone got a raffle ticket, or several raffle tickets, but there was some raffle tickets. And the first one that was pulled out was for Kevin, and it was for the US box.
This is sounding really fixed. Thanks for doing me a favor. Here's your winning raffle ticket. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That's what I said. And he said, no, it wasn't even. It was totally blind. He had no clue.
Yep. Sleeves on? Sleeves? No sleeves? T-shirt? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so, I had to bail on Kevin, everybody. I'm really sorry. Turns out my son plays football, and I drove by Craig in Kingston. I think you were probably into your second game when we drove through Kingston going to Ottawa. So, yeah. But I did get a game in, so we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so the doubles for me is always the fun tournament type. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I was looking forward to it. I really was, but turns out my kid could play football, and his team was really, 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 really good.
So it was good. Everyone had a great time. It's a winter break now, but each of those tournaments were part of a tournament circuit that the Dice Hosers has set up across Southern Ontario, and all 3 of those were sober circuit tournaments. So what was great at the tournaments was to see people coming from different areas going and playing in tournaments they wouldn't normally play. So we saw people from Ottawa, Kingston, Oshawa, Toronto, St. Catharines, and I believe there's actually going to be one in London in June of next year. So that's going to be cool. So we're seeing more and more, seeing the community grow. We've got players registered, and players can register at any time and join the sober circuit at dicehosers.ca.
There's about 22 people now?
22 people have registered so far, been given a number.
But there's more than that playing in the tournaments. It's just in the tournament scene, 22 people have registered.
Yeah. And at the moment, the top of the list was Daniel Kratzer, I believe, who's our friendly German. Lovely guy. He's a great guy, great player, great painter. He's actually a German with a sense of humor, so he's really rare.
Exceedingly
But
so.
yeah, exceedingly so, but such a nice guy. But he's top of the leaderboard.
I think it's because he's played like 7 tournaments.
No, he's only played 3.
Yeah, but that's the way the Soba Serpent works, though. Is you can play as many tournaments you want. You just take your best scores for the top
Best
3,
5, yeah.
best of 5. So
Yeah. So, and we've only played 4
yeah.
4.
It's been
4 or 5 tournaments that have been run.
we spoke about, and Tista, the one at Tista, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was one in Ottawa as well. That was a smaller one, but there is another 7 or 8 now that's planned, and there's also another 3 or 4 stores that are looking to join. So I think we're going to end up with about 15 tournaments over the year, which will be great. So it's growing, it's good. I've been talking with John Russell, who's head of Warlord Games Hobby for North America. He's loving what we do, and he's hoping that it's something that we can prove out here in Canada and then export south of the border.
yeah. So right now we're proving it provincially, and he wants to see it nationally, and then go south with it.
Yeah. Well, what I'd love to do is
Over the world,
go nationwide, Canada-wide. Like, I'd love to be able to, and I say provincial, but it's really more with Canada, the size it is. It's really more metropolitan, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
the nearest cities
Yeah.
rather than.
Yeah, I'm being a typical Torontonian. Ontario is just like within 100 miles or 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers of Toronto, right? Like
that's a day's drive.
anything else out is another
That's
place.
too far. If you're in Toronto, it's only 50 miles either way, 50 kilometers.
Either way, yeah.
Don't even make it 100.
Yeah. For anybody who's never been to Ontario, it takes, what is it, almost 2 days to drive across Ontario?
To drive, yes.
Well, it's 18 hours if you want to go to Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
Driving.
That's with, and that's still staying in the province. So
that's the same as, that's not even to the top of the province. That's just to go north and then west to get that's the same amount of time it takes to get to Florida. I've done Florida 18 hours.
No, not driving.
Yes, it is.
You drove it in 18 hours?
Yeah,
to the top of
18
Florida.
hours if you don't stop.
to
18
the top
hours
of
if you don't-
Florida. He's not talking the bottom of Florida.
Oh, top of Florida. Okay, maybe to the top of Florida.
Yeah,
Because I know down.
It's to Disney many times. It's 18 hours if you don't stop.
Yeah.
You
It's
switch
so
out driver, just get there.
just for our American listener,
Yeah, I was just giving an idea of the scope of the province.
it's
That's
just
all.
the size of it. So, in Ontario, I don't even think is the largest province, right? Pretty big. I'm not sure. Which is the largest?
If it's not Ontario, it'd be Quebec. But I'm pretty sure it's Ontario.
Depends on who you ask, Ontario or Quebec.
Yeah.
They're really close, the two of them.
Yeah. So anyway, still plenty of time. The season runs all the way till end of September 2025. Time to register your events if you want your event to be part of the Sober Circuit. And it's 2025 it is. So give us a shout. Go to dicehosers.ca. You'll see under the Sober Circuit overview. That's where you can register.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So
And
that's
it's
that.
Quebec, by the way. I was just checking my PDF from when I did my citizenship test because I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
Quebec's the
it's
best.
Quebec's the best or the largest?
The largest.
It's probably by about 10 square kilometers.
Right.
All right. So moving
1
on,
million.
let's go to the next phase of this reviews for platoons, which would be the artillery and heavy weapons. So we'll start with artillery. And my question is for platoon leaders. Are you guys running inexperienced as just the tax for the platoon, or you've got a reason to run a regular or veteran artillery officer? And do you add men to it? Or what situations would you, or would you not? Sean.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Okay, listen. Artillery lead or platoon commanders are not restricted to the platoon you take them in. It doesn't matter that it's the artillery platoon commander, because they can work with any platoon. So you're taking a platoon commander. If the thing you're doing it for is not restricting anything, it's not saying you can't have a platoon commander that's mismatched in ratings with the people in his platoon. And you are not running your platoon commander up the table. You're only using him for the +2. If that's all you want him for, +2, especially if your name is Bo, then you're taking inexperienced. Because all you want is +2s. It's a tax for you. You're just paying the whatever it is, 18, 19, I don't know what it is.
21.
21 points for a guy who gives you +2. That's all you're paying for. Now, if he's going to do anything, if he's going to go anywhere, if he's in the transport and you want him to not die when he's shot at, maybe one of your platoon commanders should be veteran. So that's probably going to be the guy in the infantry platoon. So the guy, when I take an artillery platoon, I take him with a pistol. I know you can have any weapon you want. I take him with a pistol because I think it's funny. And I make him inexperienced, and I know the guy with the pistol is inexperienced, and I sit him back just giving out his +2s to the artillery guys, and that's his job. So if I'm taking an artillery platoon and a platoon commander, I'm taking the +2 inexperienced guy to just sit back with the artillery and hand out +2s.
I suppose by just giving him a pistol as well as being funny, it also means that you're not going to
No temptation
to do something with him. You're just like, this guy is so useless. There's no point moving him.
There will come a day when we have to pay for that weapon. Then everybody's taking the pistol.
Yeah.
So he's just an extra dice in the bag so that you can pull something more
Well,
important.
he's made. So you're not. So you have to have a reason to take more than the inexperience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want another little murder squad that can take an objective,
Don't take the pistol.
Don't take
If
the
you wanna
pistol. Take two men.
rifle.
Make them veteran.
Because it's a source.
pistols are
no,
good for us.
inexperienced. You're +1 to hit, but it's still a source of an extra pin at 18 inches, or 12 inch, or 24 inches if you give him a rifle.
Yeah.
It's still a chance at an extra pin, right?
Yeah.
And then you also, depending on your artillery makeup, you want to potentially use that platoon leader anyway to
Snap two.
snap 2, right? So
Absolutely.
um,
And there's no penalty to snap 2 on inexperienced.
I don't see any reason. The only reason just occurred to me that I would not take an NX, and I would actually take a veteran with 2 guys, is to use them as a back corner Hail Mary. I don't want you to take out my artillery, so I'm going to use this squad to
that's what I was about to say.
distract you for a period of time.
Yeah, I tried that in the game with Matt last week, where the guy was more like the guy and his buddy, because I only had the points for one guy, was a backline defense, because we were playing objectives.
So the outflank comes into play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the only game I've ever done with that. Normally it's inexperienced.
Yeah.
And it didn't help because he didn't come on there. He came on the other side. So, yeah.
Yeah, but the potential, right?
Potential, yeah. The odds are.
I don't really think there's.
So it sounds like 80 to 90% of the time he's NX'd, he's used for his +2 and his potential for snap 2, and you want him NX, so you're not going to take the risk of moving away because you want to do something out of your pre-planned game plan.
Yeah.
So field artillery, Craig.
Yeah, so field artillery really comes down to howitzers and multi-rocket launchers if you have them. So if you decide that you want to go with Nebelwerfers, they are there was with version 3 there was this big thing where big hype that having 4 Nebelwerfers were going to be awesome and dominate the game.
Everybody forgot the objectives.
Yeah, and that in theory can be the case. I mean, to be honest, I've actually not come across an army that's got more than 2. And I find that they only last. I've seen them work well once, and that was against Daniel and his German army. But that's because the way the board was set up, and I had a building in mind that was right in the middle of my setup, and he just was able to just keep targeting the building and get my guys that were around it. But yeah, I think Nebelwerfers are good, but they're also they're a hit or miss, right? I mean, pun intended, but
Literally,
they are that. So I think they're good for the points, but they're not going to win you games. And I don't know
what my dudes were defending my non-inexperienced artillery officer, my Nebelwerfer, didn't hit a thing on the game on Friday.
Yeah, I've not had one of mine hit yet.
I could have taken those rockets and used them as grenades.
Some games you'll get 6 every turn. Other games you won't get 6 any turn.
Like, yeah. So that's the multi-rocket launcher. Typically, howitzers, the generic howitzers. You have medium and heavy. I do love the models for medium and heavy howitzers. They look pretty sweet. Like with the Germans, they have the 10.5 centimeter. I can't even remember what
minimum range on a heavy howitzer.
They're all like half range, right? So it's about 30 inches on them. So they're really only good if you put it in one corner of the board to shoot at the other corner.
Heavy howitzer's worse. That's 42-inch minimum range.
Okay, so that makes it even worse.
But you still
Which
have
is what Nebelwerfers should be. Nebelwerfers should also have a minimum range of about 30.
What's the Russian truck with the thing on the top? The
Katusha.
Katusha, yeah.
Yeah. So howitzers are good for cheap units, for good artillery, for deleting. Because once you hit with a howitzer, whether it's direct or indirect, it's pretty much deleting most of what's in there because it's the penetration is like
+4.
+4 for the heavy, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty big. It's wiping stuff out. You get no cover saves because it's indirect high explosive unless you're doing the direct fire. So they're pretty nasty, but the minimum range just makes them not as effective. And we'll talk about it in armored platoons, but I would rather stick a howitzer on a tank than I would on a static unit.
And just take the direct fire.
Yeah, and then there's actually 2 good howitzers. One is the 25-pounder, the British 25-pounder, because that actually can also shoot as an anti-tank weapon. So anything that can do 2 things is pretty sweet. And it's only another, I want to say 25 points to bump it up to a 25-pounder. Because it has, let me just find the rule. Yeah, so you could. It's a light howitzer, actually. The Germans can have medium and heavy. It's a light howitzer, and you can give for 5 points. You can upgrade it so that it's able to use anti-tank shells. So that's pretty.
What's the AP? What's the pen on the anti-tank shell?
It will be.
It's a light howitzer. Or?
Light howitzer.
Light howitzer is +2.
+2.
Or sorry.
So same.
Yeah, +2.
2 would be an anti-tank rifle.
So they've aligned it. I don't know if you guys noticed, but they aligned it for the diameter of what it does, like the AOE splash, 1 inch
That's
is
the
plus 1
HE.
pen.
That's the HE. But does
Yeah.
it do better than that? If it does it do better? So HE1 is AP is pen 1, HE2 is pen 2, HE3 pen
Well,
3.
that's what I was asking.
Better than that?
What if it's a medium anti-tank gun or a light anti-tank gun?
Well, light anti-tank gun is +4.
Yeah.
That's better than any HE.
Oh yeah. So it fires if it loads a anti-tank shell, it counts as a light anti-tank gun, so it's a +4
Plus
pen.
4, yeah.
So that's pretty cool, right? I'd actually, if I was with my British North Africa army, I've already got one. I probably would add one or maybe even two, because to have 3 anti-tank stroke artillery howitzer is pretty sweet.
And because it's a light anti-tank gun, it gets the +1 when it's shooting against armor.
Yes, because I think there was a clarification about that as well from
Yep.
Warlord that's coming, because they were like, well, it's a howitzer just with an anti-tank shell. Does it count? But yes, it does. It does
Nice.
get +1, because the other one is the Soviet ZIS-3.
There's
That's
also
a
one of the German armored cars, the 222. You can upgrade it to the Panzerbusch 41, which has got the it counts as light anti-tank at ranges up to 12 inches. Its base penetration is increased to a +6, and at over half range is reduced by 2 to a +2 penetration.
That's interesting.
Was that the squeeze bore one?
Yeah, the squeeze ball, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, it's different than because normally over half you automatically drop down by 1. You're talking about the Zeiss 3 there, Craig. That's the
Zeiss 3, I was wrong. Zeiss 3 is an
So those plus
anti-tank weapon, which will
it's
be
an anti-tank weapon. We talk about them later, but it's a
Yeah.
+5
yeah.
because
So
it's versatile.
they
It's
are
a light howitzer, right?
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So I think the Soviet one, the British one, well, that's an anti-tank for the Soviets, but for the British, that's a good one. And the Nebelwerfer, I think, is a good one for the Germans. And the Katusha, I think, having one, maybe 2 of those if you want to. It depends how you want to play your army and how mobile you want to make it. But I do think that they're not the game winning unless you go all in. And then a lot of tournaments I've seen have started to make games really objective based.
Yeah.
So you need to do a lot of moving.
I think with the Nebelwerfer, the Land Mattress, the Katusha, they're cheap, but if they do their job at least once in the game, they pay themselves in spades. But you can't rely on it on a 1 in 6. You just can't, because you're only getting one turn. Like statistically, you'll get one turn where they actually make their land, where they land their shot. And the amount of, if you don't get it turn 1, the amount of damage as the game progresses is generally less and less, because the units are decreased, so the spread is larger, so the chances of getting multiple units decreases, or the amount of multiple units you'll get will decrease too. So
I think as well, a lot of it is on the table as well.
yeah,
They increase exponentially in effectiveness if there are buildings on the table in your enemy's zone.
yeah, and with version 3 being much more terrain heavy, or recommended terrain heavy, they can be much more devastating. But again,
And they can't be spotted by spotters, right? Forward observers cannot spot for multiple rocket launchers.
Right. Multi-launchers. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did not know that. All right. I guess we should all take a crack at the anti-aircraft. Matt was supposed to do this, but unfortunately his internet crapped out today, so he couldn't join us. I haven't really looked at anti-aircraft, mainly because I've been trying to use.
We've got the aircraft.
Yeah, I've been trying to use the aircraft, and if you run aircraft or forward air observer so that an aircraft comes in, you actually have to make a roll for everything that has flak in your army to not shoot, because planes being small and fast in the air like that, everybody got on the battlefield, saw them coming in, and everybody shot until they realized it was on their side or not on their side. So, especially when I'm running that quad I ran a quad for the MCMG 16, the quad 50 cals with against Craig the other day, and that's where I realized after the game that I didn't make my my flak shot order rolls against it. But then I also played it as inexperienced and paid it as veteran, so it probably would have made the roll, given there was within 6 inches of an officer. But I did cheat that part out, and as a result, I'm really in the air because I love that quad 50 cal, 12 50 cal shots out of that thing. It is really nice. It's kind of like old school weapons or weapons that aren't mounted on vehicles. That being said, I can't see a lot of reason to run like 50 cal anti-aircraft, maybe the autocannons, quad autocannons. Matt played against you running a couple. Evan, what did you feel? How did you feel about the quad, the autocannon anti-aircraft?
It was okay. We discussed it quite a lot afterwards, and he had the static one, which was okay. But when my machine gun team, I had to move them to get in range, and we ended up trading shots, and he was down to like one dude left at the end of the game on the unit. I just couldn't kill the unit. Playing at the doubles tournament, the one game, the guy had the Dreeling, the three barrel one on the armored half track, and that was good. That was because he could move around.
Yeah.
And
it was Daniel again.
Daniel, yeah. So that one was really good. The thing that I quite like the thing I like about them, the autocannons, is it's the 1-inch template, and you can span across a unit now.
I never checked the rules. Do you still have to have the templates touching each other as for version 2, or can you put them wherever?
Put them wherever you want.
Put them wherever you want.
So they don't have to be touching anymore.
No chain anymore.
No, okay.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was really effective. I only know one person who plays planes, which is you, Derek. So I haven't tried anything against yours yet, which I'm quite keen to see.
I played one at the doubles. No, at the singles, I played someone who had a plane. I think that they are going to make an appearance. So it's interesting because we're starting to see little metas form.
Yeah.
Auto cannons, I think, for anti-aircraft protection their auto cannons are really good anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, especially if you don't have to link the AOEs anymore. Because I was looking at that for my German list, a couple of the quad autocannons. I think they're Flakvierling, thank you.
Yeah,
they're really cheap.
The one guy in my old gaming group in Cape Town, he had a plane, and he went to an auto parts store, and he had one of those old car aerials that comes up and down, and he mounted his plane with a magnet on it, so you could angle it and put it on the table. So that's what you should do. You actually have a plane. If you don't have the model, you can't play it.
No, it doesn't say that. It says you can bring the model to give you realism, but you can use 2 tokens. Yeah, there you go.
Bring Flames of War models. I got lots of Flames of War planes.
Yeah, they're too small though. That's unfortunate.
It looks like it's in the distance.
Yeah, there you go. They're really high up. I'm just putting it low to the table. Anybody else got any thoughts on anti-aircraft?
Yeah, these are autocannons.
Autocannons are machine guns, depending on how they're mounted. Yeah.
Autocannons are generally reasonably priced for what they give you. So it's not a bad idea to bring autocannons. And this is a way to bring autocannons.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on it.
No, I think autocannons are.
Because you'll see some anti-aircraft guns have quad cannons.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. So Now you're getting 4 shots? Yeah.
8
That's all right.
shots. 2 shots per
8
gun.
shots? Yeah, that's right.
Someone's judging you, Derek, on the
Yeah.
video.
Yeah. She's like, that's that Derek guy breaking the rules again. Breaking the game.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got the
Don't-
ability to put
don't
them in
care
there.
what the category is. Don't worry about people bringing airplanes. Only the Americans will, because they've got the only rules. But
Well, you get the bonus call in, so it makes that it's 150 points for everybody else, 75 for the Americans, right?
So the Americans will, but autocannons, even without airplanes on the field, are quite useful.
Yeah, they're still going to do something else.
Yeah, so Germans can bring Air
These are
Force.
also useful too. So.
Germans can bring an Air Force observer, but you only get the one.
Japanese can bring their only option for forward observer is forward air observer
Oh wow!
currently.
I think, though, Japanese players should be made to set their plane on fire and throw it at the table.
Just an 18 from point to point, just an 18-inch burn line, right?
You do anti-tank guns too.
Yeah.
So, all right. So moving on to anti-tank. Sean, what do you think of the anti-tank options?
All right, anti-tank guns. Let me think. All right. So infantry teams are 18, 25, 33. They're 2-man. They're +2. We talk about them probably under infantry platoon. So they're pretty straightforward. But our artillery anti-tank can no longer wander around the table nicely. They're the light, medium, heavy, super heavy. Now the ranges go up. You're up to 48, 60, or 72 or 80. Doesn't matter. Once you get over 60, who cares? So anything over medium, yeah, that's fine. So it's either even the light is 48 inches. So
you're not going to see a lane. You're not going to see multiple laneways that long on any board.
That's right. So light and medium are both 1-inch templates if you want to go the HE route. So those are okay. But shooting HE at buildings, again, good idea. And then medium and heavy are 2 and 3-inch. Those start to take out lots of infantry if you're shooting at something that isn't a tank. All anti-tank, +1 to hit on a fire or ambush type order.
Against vehicles.
Against vehicles, or if you're assaulted by a vehicle, you get it on the reaction type thing that you can do. Gun shields only cost 5 on an anti-tank. For the anti-tanks that have the option to drop the gun shield, a lot of them you'll see it as a +5. I soft cover, right? It gives you a 5-up, so it's better than not having a save. So I guess the 5 points is worth it. Inexperienced, I don't think is worth it for anti-tank guns at all. So you're really looking at 50 points for starting an anti-tank gun. Then 70 would be for a medium. Get this. And like we said earlier, the Zeiss 3 is versatile, so it can fire as a howitzer, light howitzer, which is nice. It's a medium anti-tank gun, +5.
Yeah.
And then the Japanese, in this case, can only go up to medium. So they don't even get heavy anti-tank guns. So so we haven't gotten to tanks yet, but when you're talking, so these are all going to be mostly stationary unless you have rules for moving them around. I think light anti-tank guns are good for what you're going to be dealing with most of the time, which will be, we're going to see lots of half tracks hiding and then zooming up the table and disgorging their payload of either SMGs to blow you up or flamethrowers or whatever the close range weapons are going to be. So so lights are good for that. Medium's fine. I think anything more than a medium, you want it mobile. You don't want to You don't want to get a heavy. You don't want to pay the points for that heavy or super heavy stationary weapon most of the times, if it's going to end up being in the wrong spot. That's what I think, anyways. And so I think light and mediums are good for stationary, and then super heavy and heavy. Wait till we get to the armored. Don't worry about it for the stationary weapons.
Anybody else got any thoughts?
No, I think I pretty much agree with Sean. I think what might be fun is an 88, just in terrain, because it's got a turntable, so you don't need to turn it. Although technically it's an anti-aircraft.
Yeah, I was about to say it's also anti-aircraft.
Yeah.
So
if it's versatile in a howitzer, then you've got play if you've got observers, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. This 88,
unless you're starting to run a heavy howitzer.
Well, the 88 is a medium howitzer, so you can spot with it as well.
Yeah.
It's an anti-aircraft, so if you've got aircraft, it gets to have a go. And it's anti-tank, and it's a super heavy anti-tank. So it does three things.
Yeah, what I meant by though is a medium howitser's minimum range is what, 40 something. So like it's reaching out to the other corner. That's what I mean. Like a lot of these howitzers, if you're buying a spotter for your howitzer, you're kind of wasting your points.
But that's what I mean. If you've got a dual purpose, if you've got triple purpose weapon, then you get your points efficiency. But no, I agree with Sean. I think.
Yeah, I think lights and mediums is where it stops on any tank guns.
Yeah. So moving on to transports, we're doing transports for heavy weapons and artillery. So I think they're pretty much the same. Evan, do you just want to do it at the end of heavy weapons so you're not repeating yourself, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to heavy weapons. Again, we start with a platoon leader. I think the arguments are much the same as we covered in the artillery. Go back and listen to that again if you didn't get it the first time. Moving on to machine guns. For me, I've been starting to mess around with machine guns, mainly because I'm playing Americans and I've been just upgrading everything to heavy machine gun because you get that +1, which nullifies, basically nullifies a medic, but I haven't seen anybody put a medic on the board yet, so that bonus is gone. The nice thing about the heavy machine gun is it gets the same amount of shots as a medium machine gun, so you got 6 at +1 pen, which is really good. Most armies, or at least I know for a fact that the Americans can take multiple per weapon slot. So if you got a weapon slot for our platoon, a squad slot that says machine gun, you can usually take up to 3 in that slot. So you can, with the normal heavy weapons, you get a choice of 0 to 2 machine guns or mortars. You can take 6 there. And then in the next, in the added selections, you can take another 0 to 3 machine guns, which would be another 9. So you can litter the board with machine guns. I can't see that being viable after just using one the other day. I'm still kind of on the fence on them. I think I used a mixture of inexperienced mortars and a couple of different styles of machine guns, one mounted, one not. Not 100% on them, really, to be honest. They get a lot of shots. They're still only doing 1 pin. So
why bother taking them regular or veteran? Just take them inexperienced. You probably got the same shot chance at the 1 pin.
Well, I preferred the regular, so I'm not taking the -1 to shoot. Like mortars don't suffer that, but at least with the machine gun, I'm not taking the -1. Yep. So at least I'm hitting on 4s. Because if they move, they're not shooting at all. So I'll take the 4s instead of having 5s. Although they do get 6 shots, so if you want to play the game, save yourself some points.
You're going to get 2 hits on 6 shots.
Yeah. And you're still only getting the 1 pin. So maybe you're right. Maybe the experience is the way to go. I should try that. You get a lot more machine guns on the board. That's for damn sure.
Well, then you don't care when they don't kill anything or do anything. You're like, oh, they're inexperienced. They hardly cost me anything.
Yeah. And if you've already got your platoon commander back there, you can snap 2, get 12 shots out.
So. I mean, I'm speaking for you if you want to be gamey. For me, I would never do that. That's pretty.
Also, if you did do it and it didn't work, you could say, oh, Sean said it would work, but it didn't.
Yeah. Or just blame the inexperienced, right? So if anybody's got any other things that they've found from machine guns, because as a whole we don't really play them that much, please put them in the comments below. Send me an email. I'll revisit this if someone can give me a legitimate argument as to why maybe your local meta is a little different. But we'll move on to mortar teams because these seem to...
Guns. Sorry, just one thing from the tournament. So in the doubles list, I was playing the Panzer III-E, which is the one with the multiple machine guns.
Yes.
And the guy opposite me, it was the first time he had seen it. So he had a Stuart mounted with machine guns. So he pulls out, he rolls his 3 dice, and I'm like, okay, fine. It's our turn, and I range in on one of his units with him, blat him with my machine gun. So I pull out 12 dice. He's like, that's not on. That's just rude.
You should have been there version 2.
That was the reason I wanted to run heavy machine guns. The +1 takes care of the medic, but it also overmatches and puts pins on armored vehicles.
Yeah.
So if you're not running a veteran armored vehicle and you hit a regular or inexperienced, even if you don't pen it, you can put pins on it. You have to be able to pen it to put pins on an armored vehicle if they're veteran. So that was the reason why I was trying it. Now I remember.
Well, unfortunately, the first army that Derek got to try out this idea with was against my Soviets, and I had 3 veteran T-34s.
Yeah.
So
he did not play the spam Soviets. He told me he was playing Soviets, but he told me he was playing different. So I figured it wasn't going to be spam. And this is my first legitimate version 3 game. I didn't just take over somebody's army. This is an army I made. I wanted to play, and I got a whole game in it. It wasn't a part of a teams that I've played a couple of teams games, but with other people's armies. So because they were nice enough to, Derek's here, let him play. So it was good that way. It was an interesting game. It was a nice introduction to version 3 outside of doubles. And I thoroughly enjoyed the game, and I really took a lot away from that one game on the differences that I knew book-wise from version 2 that were there, but to actually play it out in real and take it away from theory and put it into practice, it was an eye-opener, that's for sure.
And there's one quick highlight of that game, just briefly touching on aircraft, was the fact that he brought in aircraft twice, and they tied down 2 of my veteran tanks. They had to rally 2.
Yeah. Well, the only other thing I had that could do anything to him was a lone bazooka running around the board. And even then, it had to get side shots. And then we discovered that the flamethrower on the Stuart, the Satan Stuart, couldn't do anything either, because I don't think I could break your armor. So I couldn't even put pins on it with the flamethrower.
I think you needed a 6 or something.
Oh, maybe it was a 6, yeah.
But the thing was, he brought in his aircraft, it put pins on me, and then it blew up a building, completely demolished a building that had a squad of 10 soldiers in.
Yeah, Rangers. They were my Rangers. But I told you when I did it, I'm like, I'm gonna screw myself right here. This is gonna hurt me more than you. And you're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I dropped the 3 dice, rolled a 14, and I'm like, that building came down, I'm dead. He goes, no. That's just how many hits were in the building. I'm like, no, that's the 3 dice you roll to see how many hits are on the building. And if it breaks 10, that building goes down and everything in it, dead.
Well.
The highlights, you love it. So moving on to mortars, because I think this will be a little bit more in depth, as this seems to be a worldwide meta thing. I've seen Bo talk about it. I've seen some other people talking about it. So moving into mortars, Sean, we covered lights before. If you want to do a quick follow-up on that, and then you can move into medium and heavies, or if you don't want to, you can just move right into mediums.
I just want to make sure we touched on, with your machine guns, that taking machine guns to put into ambush, not a bad idea, because it puts the fear of God in people. So, all right. Mortars. Yep, we have touched on the light, and see the last episode to see the history of the light mortar, and why it's so important, and why it is the most singularly important thing you can take in your list. But in addition to the light mortar, we also today will be talking about the medium and the large. We learned that the light mortar is 21, 30, 39. So 21 for an inexperienced, if you want to flood the field with them, is great. 30 for a regular. So the problem with mortars. The problem with all mortars is you need a 6. Then you need a 5. Then you need a 4. So it takes 3 turns. There's only 6, maybe 7 turns in the game before they do anything on a stationary target. But if you just roll 6s, great. But the most important amount of pins in the game you can get when you're shooting at something is anybody?
Sorry, I'm
How many pins?
D3, isn't it?
No. The most important amount of pins you can get in the game when shooting at something is 2. You want to put 2 pins on anything you're shooting at because if they pass their order test, they still have 1 pin left on them, meaning they're +1 to hit you.
Yes, I see what you're
So,
going at.
so even a light mortar gets you a chance of getting those 2 pins. Same with the medium. Everything it goes to a D3 and after that, but so the medium is 15 points more than the light mortar. Gives you 1 extra guy. If you look at the different nations, the U.S. has weird math because they start with 3 guys instead of 2, and then you can take a guy off and be like every other nation. So so 15 points gets you to 3-man for every nation. They all even up at 3, and that gives you a 2-inch template. Becomes more useful. Now, when you move from light to medium and heavy, you pick up the fixed keyword. So now you have a firing arc off the front of you, where the light has a 360. The medium is fixed. 15 points more, you get a fixed, but now you're 60 inches. So now the medium can pretty much cover the table at 5 feet. All 3, light, medium, heavy, are 12-inch minimum range. The heavy is 72 inches, so it's gonna cover the whole table, where the medium might not quite get if it's over here, all the way over there if you're going diagonally. But you'll be pretty good. And the extra man is useful. So you go from 2-man to 3-man, or 3-man if you're US, or 3-man to 3-man if you're US. So the extra man is useful to being able to take that casualty. So it's only 15 points. So you pick up the fixed, you lose the 360, you get a 2-inch, and you have now the option to you unlock the spotter upgrade. So for 10 points, you can pick up a spotter. So a medium for 15 points gives you that nice buff with a little bit of a debuff on the fixed. So it gives you the extra range, the 2-inch template. It's still a 6. And the thing to remember with mortars is inexperienced does not penalize you on shooting. It does when you're easier to die if people are going to be shooting back at you, but it doesn't penalize you on shooting. So the temptation is strong to take inexperienced on mortars because of that. And then it's 30 points to get to the large. So that 30-point regular unit becomes a 60-point regular unit if you're taking a large mortar, and all it gives you is another extra man. So now you got 2 extra hit points on that unit, and it's a 3-inch template, which starts to make a difference on larger units. But you're ranging in most of the time on stationary things. So I don't know. I don't know if large is the way to go with mortars unless you've got some other fancy tricks. Medium unlocks the spotter, gives you the extra man. I still say light's the best way to go, but medium unlocking the spotter is maybe useful, especially if spotters can come in handy if you have a lot of template weapons out there, because your spotter will work for any a template weapon
And multiple.
on a vehicle or anything. So
And multiple. They're not limited to 1 per turn. They can.
right. You can And they can move.
Everything can go off that one guy.
He can go running across the table and still go, oh, yeah, I see him. There you go. He's right there. So, I think it's worth taking 1 or 2 mediums to unlock the spotters. I still believe you want the lights, at least from the rifle platoon. And then if you're taking the weapons platoon, grab a couple mediums. The large, unless there's another reason, I don't see a reason.
Yeah. I think when they start to really pay off is when you've already started to put pins on platoons or squads, and those squads fail to move because they're failing more orders checks, and then you start dropping multiple templates on it, and you're deleting. But I think this game is still more about pins than deleting units. So
you got to figure it's a 6-round game. So.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, there is one other benefit to mortars, and again, I agree, Sean. I think probably light and mediums where it's at is if you want your enemy to move, because it's a great thing to put to range try, and even if you miss, the enemy's thinking, okay, now you're ranging in 5 now on the next turn is a 33% chance of hitting. Okay, so that's so if you've got a unit that's just kind of dug in, or even on a tank, right? You've got an enemy tank that's not moving or something, then you're like, oh, what am I doing with this? So I think there is an additional thing is if you want to use it to make your opponent, certain units of your opponent have to move.
Yeah, that person that rushes up and with that nice veteran big squad digs in right on the objective. All right, you got their turn 1. I'm going to start dropping things on you.
Yep. I agree.
All right. So transports. Pretty much the same for artillery and heavy weapons. Evan, what do you got to say about transports?
Okay. So version 3 kind of lumps transport vehicles and tows into a generic sort of grouping. When you do a tow for a piece of equipment, there's listed as to what type of thing they can tow. Bearing in mind, it's one of the things that is a bit ambiguous in this is you have to have in the transport category, you have to have the transportability for the entire squad you are buying it for. In other words, you can't have a squad of 10 people and a Kettenkrad as your transport vehicle, which can only take 3 people. But what is unclear for me is that if we do a tow of a Kettenkrad with a light anti-tank gun, what happens with the people? Do the actual artillery crew, do they come with it? Do they have to run next to it? How does it work? But that's just my brain going a bit gamey on the whole thing.
They're running up beside it. They're
Yeah. What is when I was reading up about it, don't forget on page 279 of the rulebook are common transport vehicles. And that includes a generic truck. So you don't have to buy one of the specialized ones for your list. You can actually do a generic one. So yeah. That's pretty much it.
That's awesome.
Much to say about those.
So that brings us to our reviews of the artillery and heavy weapons platoons and our trolling of Evan.
Can I ask a question? If we've wrapped there. Right. So if you were,
you're having an issue talking, sir.
All right. If you had to choose one over the other, which would you go with in your army?
You from a tow perspective?
No, if you had to choose between an artillery platoon and a heavy weapons platoon, which would you go with over the other?
Zeiss 3.
So
depends on my list. My French, I'm doing artillery. My
But that's
Germans
because
are
the French get that special artillery.
the artillery doctrine. Yeah,
So that kind of forces you into that.
I'm going that route naturally.
But they're a minor nation. For the main
Germans,
Yeah,
I'm
they don't
doing
count.
heavy weapons.
Yeah. I think for Americans, heavy weapons over artillery. They've got some nice artillery, but access to the 50 cals, the way they have the 50 cals and
Point.
the mortars. Sir?
Counterpoint.
Counterpoint.
Noted.
Artillery still has that direct fire, right?
Yeah, you do have the option where you don't with the mortars.
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting the 2-in-1 where I'm taking machine guns and mortars. But I'm getting more order dice too.
Like you take that light
If I was
howitzer.
making a list to play against Derek, I'm probably going to lean more towards artillery because that unlocks my anti-aircraft guns.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
And artillery only requires one unit.
Yeah, but I can have a couple of inexperienced units. You're paying for the price because you want to be able to shoot straight too with your anti-tank guns. You're going to want to put points into them. Where I just want to litter the board with a bunch of 2-inch or 1-inch mortar templates.
It's an HE shot. If there's a building on the table, you just reap the benefit.
No, this is true.
Craig, what's your take on it?
Kev, what do you think?
I've lost track of what we were talking about with all the freaking.
Well, if you don't have one of these, your opinion
Yes.
has merit or weight.
I thought that those gentlemen were supposed to be reserved for the kind of black powder conversations.
No, they're reserved for scholarly discussions.
Yes.
Well, if I'd known, I would have dropped mine up from the car.
I'm sorry.
I don't understand why yours is in the
'Cause I-
car.
Because I
Because he
actually
drives
used
around
mine.
looking scholarly all the time.
That's right. And I actually
That's how he
use
gets the
mine,
ladies.
not just decoration.
I've got one that I use. I don't use this one. This way it doesn't stink up my room.
So, Kevin, if you had to choose between an artillery platoon or a heavy weapons platoon,
Heavy weapons platoon.
why?
Yeah. I take the mortars
He likes
or
the
my
Hitler.
machine guns.
Oh yeah, Hitler's buzzsaw. I forgot to mention that with the machine
Right.
guns.
Medium machine guns get that, so you get the extra shot. Is great, and you put them somewhere in the shrubbery or something, so they get a little cover. But the mortar
Fair point.
and the medium mortar is the way to go, because then you can have a spotter. Because that way you can have your mortar on one side of the table, your spotter on the other. As long as the mortar can see sort of a couple of lanes or something, then you've got sort of the table covered. If your spotter's set up at a good spot where he can see sort of the other end of the table, you can just lob stuff over. So
Point.
I like my mortars.
Point. Remember, in your rifle platoon, if you take a forward observer, whether it's air or artillery, he is a spotter for all your mortars as well.
Correct.
So that's changed from the last one then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't normally take.
You obviously didn't
forward
listen to our
observer.
last podcast, so you're not one of the 7 people that watches this.
Yeah, really, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't normally take the forward observers and stuff though. I don't. I don't. So that's.
There's 75 points you can spend in the game.
Especially if you're one of do the British, they've lost their rule. Did they get the call it in twice like the Americans did, or what did they give them in replace?
They get to pull it in.
They pull it in twice instead of having
Artillery,
that broken.
regular artillery, yeah.
Okay, so that's the same.
Same as my minor nation French. If I take the artillery forward observer, I can call it in twice.
Nobody cares about the French.
I care.
Not in Canada.
I care.
I just got us canceled. Sorry, Quebec.
That's what you get for asking a
Biggest,
guy from
oldest
West.
province in the country.
Yeah. I was born in the territories, actually. Just the Western territories, that's all. All right, so
Anymore.
what was that?
Is there still a Northwest Territories up there?
Yeah, they just cut it in half.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I think he was actually saying that Yukon was the largest of the provinces and territories by a gazillion.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
Northwest
Yeah,
Territories or
Nunavut.
Nunavut. Yeah, I was going to say it used to be the Northwest Territories because it was Northwest and Nunavut together. But when they split it, they didn't quite split it in
Territories
half.
don't count.
It's 1
the
million
territories-
square miles.
Yeah.
And if it was its own country, it would be the 15th largest in the world.
Yeah. And I'm sure the Northwest
Yeah, but it's-
Territories aren't far behind it.
But it's only 0.32% of the Canadian population.
Yeah.
I
Which
wonder
makes
how many
it
territories
players-
0.00001 of the world.
That's cold, man.
Yeah. I've lived on 2 oceans, and I've never been to Atlantic Canada. There's your geography lesson today.
Did you go swimming in both oceans?
Yes, I did. Make that a Simcoe conversation there, sir.
You've never been to the Arctic Ocean. I can't.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? I don't think Simcoe ever did either.
Well,
All right,
would like
I'm
to
going to
point
pass
out
it over
that-
to Sean for upcoming events.
I
right
would like
after
to point
Craig's
out that actually, according to YouTube, we actually on average receive 60 views per video.
60. Oh, yay us! We're
So at
internet
least
famous.
5 of those are Derek and I checking that it's uploaded correctly. And
I think
Are
30 of
those
them were-
unique? Are those unique, or are they just us over and over and over again listening to the sweet melodious voice of us?
I know we've got 29 subscribers, and last month we had.
And apparently Matt's son isn't one of them. I'm
You
just
know,
saying.
these are very embarrassingly small numbers.
Yeah, for the amount of effort we put into this.
We've only got 940 to go before we get a YouTube award.
All right, people,
So
help us out here. Tell your
Help
friends,
people,
tell your
please.
mom, tell your family.
use your secondary email address to sign
yeah.
up.
Yeah, just log in, hit play, hit stop, carry on your day.
Well, they have to like and subscribe, and not to get the plaque.
Oh, that's right.
I can subscribe.
Tell your friends and family just to subscribe to us, to be nice. They don't have to watch. We only put an episode out every once a month, so it won't even jam their
Can you
situation.
not sound so desperate?
No, I'm not desperate. I'm just asking.
You want some little
We're
plug.
friendly. We're friendly. I want my internet award.
Okay, Sean, take us away for what's
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah, before we lose
Yes.
before everybody stops
Yes.
listening, anyways.
Let's end up. There's nobody still listening, but let's end on a high note. There's no upcoming events, so there's nothing in December.
No.
I'm currently in the only escalation league going on right now at Pista in Hamilton. Just lining up my second game,
is
where
that
I'm slow
only-
growing my German force. There will be an escalation league starting at Torchlight in January for anybody within the half hour, 45 minutes of Burlington who wants to join us. But there's rumors. Is it still a rumor, Craig, for Ottawa in January? Has it been firmed up yet?
We're still in talks.
Still a rumor of an event in January.
It's like negotiating with Canada Post.
So in the Golden Horseshoe area, December is quiet.
Yeah. I'm talking with the owners, David and Will, the owners of Torchlight, and I can't remember if I said this before, but I think we're actually going to be looking to do like a Soldiers World War II paybook, and that will be when you turn up every 2 weeks to play your game, and you've painted your army for that bit, you get a stamp and you get promoted, and there's like things that you get, and I think at the end of it you get put in for a draw and stuff. So
A raffle
there'll be
that Kevin won't win by being the friends of somebody.
yeah. So we'll be fun. So yeah, we're going to be doing some fun stuff, and of course, but nothing.
It'd be like the Royal Navy, where I get like a tot of rum as well.
Ooh, I do like that idea.
8 of us in the Hamilton.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to next year for the
Yeah, we got the German.
continuation of the Germans. What about the Germans?
And
Or the Germans,
and
as he would say.
rumor has it we may have the author of the German book coming to visit us again. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's our hope. That will be our January episode.
That's our hope, our dreams.
Yeah. Okay, over to you, Ev. Heavy boy.
Hobby plans. What have people got? I've got 2 weeks of vacation coming up, so I'm going to hammer away at my Saga Indians
Boring.
and get them done.
I got all my primed.
I finished today, so I'm done now till January 6th. So I've got, I know, right? Barely into December.
Why is some other dude painting your deck? Why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
Because
he wants a painting award.
You know now that it wasn't him who painted it.
That deck, I don't know if it's based on who painted it. It's just, is it the best painted army?
That's true. You
Right.
can
So
or cannot give kudos out. It's up to you.
Yeah. At the moment, we'll have done it by the time we go to air, but for the demo day on Saturday. So I've just got to finish wrapping up painting the Germans from that box set. And then I've got to finish my SS doubles to go with Matt. So we got that. I'm painting up because that's all Lincoln oak leaf camo gear that they're wearing.
Matt's doing a pretty good job on his.
Yeah.
That oak leaf pattern. It looks really good.
It does look good. I really like it. And it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, which was great. And then
you should do an article on how you did it.
Yeah, I will just post the YouTube video that
I was just going to say, didn't you guys follow an easy YouTube tutorial on that?
Yeah, I'll do that. And then Saga, I hope to be... Well, actually, what I plan to do is between Bolt Action and Saga, I'm hoping to get my Silver Bayonet painted up. And then I'll get on my Saga. Which is going to be easy, because I've really just changed my mind that I'm just going to do 2 big units of Knights and a King. That's it. I'm going to do what Doug did with his...
oh, nice. That'll be interesting. Yeah.
That's it. Because it doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to get my ass kicked at Adpeticon anyway, so why not have fun and kill whatever I charge?
And I, from experience, can tell you they are a great group of guys.
Yeah, so that's what I'm up to over Christmas.
Kev, your hobby plans?
He's got an American box set to paint.
Yeah.
No, that's far in the background. I'm going to try and finish up most of my other German stuff and get Germans out of the way. Be done with it. Because I got some tanks and a couple units, and now that assault rifles are good, I have a bunch of assault rifle guys I got to paint. And I want to get it done and put aside so I don't have to look at it ever again. So I don't have to do my P-dot anymore and stuff. Then it'll be on to the British Airborne, which are all assembled, ready to go. They just waiting for paint. And they've been waiting for the Germans to move through so they can be brought up. And then I'll worry about the U.S. Army. Because they came in late anyway, so it's,
Yeah. You should probably start painting when the US book comes out in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, that was the other thing. I was going to wait for the new German, the new German I don't have to wait for, but the new British book, I was going to wait before I glue everything together, just so you can figure out some basic units. So, and then do that. And the same with the US. Get the US book, and then I can figure out the units, and then glue everything together.
Is there anything in that frog, Sean, that's alcoholic?
Ask no questions, tell you no lies.
Anyway, hobby plans. Sean, what you got planned?
Put alcohol in that frog.
Yeah.
I've been actually catching up on Shatterpoint. There's a Shatterpoint tournament coming up in January I want to go to. And I still have another box to get to if I want to do all Ewoks. And I kind of think I want to do all Ewoks.
I want to
get to that.
I want to see all Ewoks in Adepticon.
my Hail. I haven't even figured out what I'm playing at Adepticon yet. I gotta wait to see what the event list looks like.
All you
But
watch.
the escalation league I'm in right now for bolt action is Germans, and I'm coming along with them. I'm going to have to paint some vehicles next, I think. I've got everything else pretty much together. The Age of Sigmar is I'm going to switch from Maggotkin of Nurgle to Slaves to Darkness because they're just about to drop. I'm going to go back to a Bellicor list, which is some demons and some crazy human lists. So I'm going to have some fun with that. This weekend is 40K. I just finished putting the finishing touches of Mortarion. I finally get to play Mortarion. He's been sitting painted here on my shelf for a while, but he wasn't based, so I got him based now, so he'll be ready to go. I'll be playing him this weekend. Looking forward to that. And Hail Caesar! I haven't finished the Romans yet. I've finished all the Carthaginians. I'm almost done the Romans. My whole plan was to have the whole box done by Christmas. So I think by Christmas I'll have the Romans done for sure, but the Italian allies, because they're going to have some colors and some shields going on, they may stretch into January. So I'm hoping to get the Italian allies out of the way, and then I'll be done the Hail Caesar box, and I can get back to black powder.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay.
And that about wraps it up. I think it's Kevin.
What, you don't think I
there.
paint anymore?
You don't paint.
Oh, don't you paint anymore? Oh, okay. Well, then we'll skip you.
In the last 24 hours for Adepticon.
For Adepticon, nothing. I've been painting your bolt action for the demo day, the Americans. I do have all my horses painted for Saga and all my models built now and primed.
Right.
So that's one elephant done, 3 chariots built, and a whack of horses. I don't know, was that 4 horses per chariot? There's 12 and another 12 cavalry painted. And then still trying to get in touch with Pat. Pat wants to wait for the German book to drop before we figure out our list. We know we're not using the book, but I think he just wants to paint something so that he's got an army that goes forward. And I really don't care about the Germans, so I'm just going to paint whatever he wants me to paint for it. I had a rough list, but he's like, yeah, I'm not sure I want to do that. So I'm like, okay, well, you tell me what you want. I'm really waiting for a new drop on information with K47, Conflict 47, because there's been nothing since July, August, when they announced all the last of the writers that were put in the team. So I'm really hoping that once the German book drops, that they start teasing a little bit more about Conflict 47, mainly because there's kind of a dead space between the Americans dropping or the Germans dropping in the this month, next month.
Germans drop in January.
So they drop in January, and then the Americans in April. So there'll be some teasers about the Americans through a couple of months, much like they've been doing with the Germans. But I'd like to see a couple more teasers for Conflict 47 to see where they're at with that. So I'm just kind of a little disappointed. And I started painting a palette cleanser for Age of Magic for Saga. I got those. Where are they here?
Yeah, I want to change mine. If the American book is coming out before the British book, I'll put, when I'm done the Germans, I'm going to put the British aside and then do the Americans.
I got this Mythic America Aztec guy. He's
such a nice model.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I'm getting too much light, but I don't have enough if I turn it off. But it's kind of a nice palette cleanser because we've been doing so much historical in some way, shape, or form, like Saga and whatnot. So it's kind of nice just to do something fantasy. I'm sure Sean understands because he's all over the place with palette cleansers. I'm tired of painting this. I'm going to paint this now.
Yeah, I call that a normal week.
I was going to say. But yeah, that's it for me. I have been painting though, and I'm running the paint. I don't know how I got voted in to run the painting table at the demo, but I'm running the painting table at the demo of all people.
I was voluntold.
Yeah.
We can switch around. We
It's
can rotate.
It's
Yeah,
well, I'm
rotate.
surprised it wasn't Matt. Matt's the best. Well, Matt I think might be the best painter. Sean the most prolific, but yeah, I was surprised I got nominated. The guy with no eyes and missing fingers and can't see the brushes and whatnot.
Sean's not there. Sean's not there.
Yeah,
And
And
Matt's
Matt-
a little quiet.
yeah. So, anyways, I'll be doing the painting demo. I know a lot of theory. I just can't put it into practice, so I'll help people out that way.
Here's how to paint a Soviet guy.
Yeah.
There we go.
Make sure you buy winter so you can just paint it white and
No, paint them all black and put some dry gray highlights because it's
Yeah.
nighttime.
there you go.
Yeah.
Or just paint them black and gray and say it's a black and white newsreel.
Yeah.
All right, Evan. I said my piece.
Cool. Okay, and that's it for the agenda. Kev, you can wrap us up.
Outro, Kevin.
You practice it. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, I practice it a lot. Join us on the next one when we talk about.
Hold on, wait.
Wait.
Look at the camera.
Look at hello.
Okay, go.
Oh, sorry,
You'll
I
edit
had to read
right
what I-
there. You'll edit it. Yeah.
No,
No,
reading.
better.
You gotta have it
Yeah,
memorized. You're looking at the camera now,
I got
man.
it memorized now. It's only 2 words.
Yep, you got it.
Armored platoons. That's what we're going to talk about next. And
Remember platoon.
like and subscribe and do all that stuff and
Oh, now
come
you're
back for the
begging.
next one.
Now you're
Platoons is going to be
begging.
even
Yay.
no,
Yay.
that's what everybody says. You always got to tell the YouTube. Click the like button.
No,
subscribe, and
never
click the
tell
little
them
ding.
like subscribe because that's overplayed and everybody already knows it.
Oh, everybody does it. It's a rule.
Ultra intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comment
say
below
subscribe.
whether we should be reminding you every episode to like and subscribe. And comment
That's
below on
right,
how
yeah.
well Kevin did on his outro.
That's right. The new thing is to get them to.
I think for
comment.
my first intro, it's a good one.
They know
I got to
to
work on my lighting.
They know to like and subscribe. Get
And
them
you
to
know what?
comment.
I have a box here. I do. I have a box I'm not using. It's a small box. It's not a big box. The next episode, I will announce a random winner of the box, and I will find a way to get it to you if you comment below on anything that we've asked you to comment on today.
That's
Even though our
first
country
giveaway.
doesn't. Postal
And
service,
chances are it's German.
even if we don't have a postal
Oh, just
service.
tell them the box. Say, we'll pick a random winner out of everybody to comment about their favorite part of this episode, and they win this box. And there you
And
go.
him take note, he didn't say that there was anything like
Subscribe are eligible.
That doesn't
Yeah.
drive up our metrics. I don't know what will. Not that I care.
Yeah.
Remember, he said a box.
I'll show me a
All's from Yager.
I got it. This one's open. I got another one. I just couldn't find it. Comment down below, and I will get you this box. And if you don't want it, maybe your friend does. So tell him to like, subscribe, and comment
don't
below.
sound desperate. Don't be desperate.
Yeah.
I'm buying votes. I'm buying that whatever we need for 900, whatever we get for $940 or 940 subscribers, which is probably just a
You
big
get
pat on the back. Pat on the back.
$940. That's the new GW figure. The
Yeah.
special
Let me do it
character.
again. Wait. You get nothing. I've got the wrong hat. But you get it. I've got a Willy Wonka hat upstairs from the dance recitals.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate your patronage and everything else. And until next time, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's.
I thought we ended the podcast like on Kevin's words.
No, because I had to do the giveaway that I spontaneously decided to do. Goodbye, everybody.